In the ongoing struggle, the game has changed dramatically. The radius of influence will be redrawn in the planning of critical factories, warehouses, and energy centers. To shield these targets, not only military resources will be mobilized, but civilians and institutional assets will also come into play. Mobilization translates into delays in supply and production schedules. How does this shift the balance for both sides? Delays mean that re-equipping units at the front lines takes longer. Extended timelines shrink potential offensive windows, offering the defense a fleeting moment to regroup. Politically, this spins a narrative of insecurity. Every second spent waiting chips away at the Kremlin's confidence, eroding its messaging about the war's costs. Underneath the surface, electronic battles are waged, Russian forces are skilled at disrupting signals, creating blackouts, and initiating localized jamming zones. But is this enough to blind a system guided by sophisticated inertial navigation? Flamingo's design doesn't merely rest on cutting-edge technology, it thrives on a multi-layered strategy that emphasizes accuracy. The delicate balance of payload effectiveness hinges on both the cost and the precision of targeting. Anti-jam features are integrated into the missile's package because every successful strike counts. Route planning, strategic waypoint usage, and the final approach must all be optimized to slip past defenses. When the paths selected keep radar visibility in the shadows, the chances of interception plummet. As friction from electronic warfare escalates, does movement come to a standstill? Not for Ukraine. The country adapts by decentralizing its defense operations, camouflaging its assets within rural and civilian infrastructures. This strategic move complicates adversarial targeting, making it a daunting task for Russian forces to sever supply chains. As production ramps up, security measures become increasingly strenuous, yet the advantages outweigh the challenges. Meanwhile, footage from the assembly lines at defense factories reveals preparations for a surge in output. Labor efficiency and quality control are paramount as these platforms shoulder heavy loads. If quality remains high, the range of potential targets expands, allowing for bolder strike planning. And when will this newfound capability make its mark on the battlefield? The answer lies in the hours and days ahead. The clock is ticking. Every delay at a factory has a ripple effect, reshaping the entire dynamic on the front line. Previously, we examined how Ukraine's tactical evaluations of the Kremlin's priorities have become pivotal in this ongoing conflict. Every area not fortified for defense stands as a potential target, ripe for exploitation through thorough reconnaissance. In a world where sound echoes across the silent plains, waves of fixed-wing unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs, fill the sky, silently scouting for vulnerabilities. Each drone's whir reverberates, creating a tense atmosphere. These eyes in the sky do not just observe, they expose the chinks in Russia's armor. The increase in missiles and radar activity at every intersection signals desperation. With each resource allocated, something else must be compromised. The intricate dance of attack and defense unfolds. As these drones fulfill their role, they not only track but exhaust enemy sensors, creating openings for cruise missiles like the Flamingo to strike. The first wave distracts, while the Flamingo delivers the lethal blow. This synergy isn't a mere flash in the pan, it's a carefully orchestrated strategy. The chaos created in the radar landscape maximizes the chance of hitting critical targets. The risks escalate when such targets include essential infrastructures like refineries and rail yards. The pressing reality for Russian forces is that their air defenses, while robust on the surface, cannot blanket an entire expanse of 3,000 kilometers. Such limitations transform the battlefield into a game of chess, where visible threats can be planned for, but often not neutralized effectively. The calculations are shifting in favor of Kiev. What about the weight of the Flamingo's warhead? The sheer force needed to obliterate key structures like refineries or bridges cannot be underestimated. Each successful hit could mean the cessation of operations, pressing the Russian supply chain to the brink. The design of the warhead improves its chances against hardened targets, striking a critical blow to Russia's internal supply mechanisms. Imagine the echoing silence as that missile pierces the sky, seeking its target. Will it shift the tide? The stakes are higher than ever. As Ukraine presses forward, the implications reverberate. A lengthy disruption could fracture the rhythm of Russian logistics, directly impacting their military capabilities. The clock ticks. Will Ukraine's strategy prevail before the airwaves grow silent once more? Have you ever wondered what it takes to shake the very foundations of military power? Kyiv is unveiling a revolutionary weapon that could transform the dynamics of warfare, the FP5 Flamingo cruise missile. With a staggering range of 3,000 kilometers, this missile doesn't just threaten the front lines, it puts the heart of Russia in its crosshairs. From Moscow to the Ural Mountains, almost the entire breadth of Russia's military-industrial complex is now at risk. How will this newfound power change the landscape of conflict? As the Kremlin watches in horror, the Flamingo emerges not just as a missile, but as a game-changer that redefines the rules of engagement. No longer constrained by the need for external approval, Ukraine can now operate on its own military terms. This technological marvel comes equipped with speeds reaching 950 km per hour, a guidance package that marries inertial and satellite navigation, and an impressive warhead weighing 1,150 kilograms. Imagine the devastation it could unleash, striking strategic targets deep within Russia's core. But the real question looms: can Putin's security doctrine withstand such a seismic shift in the battlefield equation? The implications go beyond mere numbers. The Flamingo's impact is felt on a strategic scale, with its targets extending into the very heart of Russia's military and industrial capabilities. As the landscape of defense reconfigures, the missile's ability to evade electronic jamming and minimize radar visibility becomes paramount. Its portable launch system allows for swift repositioning, further complicating Russia's defensive maneuvers. Yet, how effective can these defenses truly be when they face a versatile and adaptive threat? Meanwhile, reports from inside Ukrainian factories indicate an accelerating production rate, with projections to reach 7 units a day by October. This surge in manufacturing could inundate the Russian military with threats on multiple fronts. Imagine a cascade of flamingos raining down on vital military infrastructure, from ammunition factories to strategic supply lines. What will happen when a sustained barrage targets the very industries that fuel the Russian war machine? The key to success lies not just in the missile's design, but in the broader operational strategy. The Flamingo will be the heavy hitter in an arsenal that still relies on Neptune missiles and UAVs. With its deployment, Ukraine aims to maximize its operational scope, threatening not just military installations but the economic linchpins of Russia's war efforts, refineries, railway networks, and more. The stakes are sky-high, with every target meticulously logged on the missile's flight plan. What happens next as this game unfolds? The Kremlin's intelligence must be quaking in its boots, as every strategic layer of defense exposes vulnerabilities. The question remains: can they adapt quickly enough to neutralize this unprecedented threat, or will the Flamingo bring about a new era of strategic dominance for Ukraine? The clock is ticking, and the world watches with bated breath. Ukraine's newly unveiled weapon, the FP5 Flamingo cruise missile, is poised to redefine the battlefield. With a staggering range of 3,000 kilometers, it empowers Ukraine to target not just the front lines, but the very heart of Russia, stretching all the way from Moscow to the Ural Mountains and beyond. Imagine the pulse of Russia's military-industrial complex now exposed, as this missile potentially threatens 90% of its critical infrastructure. Can the Kremlin's sense of security withstand such a shift? The Flamingo isn't merely a missile, it's a game-changer. The incredible specifications include a maximum speed of 950 km per hour and a robust warhead weighing 1,150 kilograms. This weapon, guided with advanced inertial navigation and satellite correction technologies, can maneuver through low altitudes, evading enemy radars with remarkable stealth. And here's the kicker: the Flamingo launches from portable ramps, allowing for maximum flexibility and minimizing vulnerability to Russian countermeasures. Now, let's take a closer look at the production timeline for this lethal tool. Reports from inside the factory reveal that approximately 1 Flamingo is produced daily, with plans to ramp up to 7 by October. The company aims for an ambitious goal: 200 units per month by end of year. As these production lines accelerate, Ukraine's arsenal, already enriched with Neptune missiles and a handful of Storm Shadow Scout missiles, has found its heavy hitter. The implications are immense. A glance at the target map shows clusters of high-value targets in the Ural Basin, home to the heart of Russia's armored vehicle and munitions production. Factories like the Ukrainian turning out T-90M main battle tanks, and the Kieran-Mashavad plant manufacturing BMP-3 infantry fighting vehicles, are now in jeopardy. Picture the strategic chaos this could unleash: refineries and vital railway networks along the Volga River vulnerable to flamingo strikes. Could Ukraine's newfound strike capability force a re-evaluation of Russian military strategy? Amidst these developments, Ukraine gears up to target heavy and strategic facilities within Flamingo's range. Among them is the Khan aviation plant, crucial for modernizing Russia's long-range nuclear capabilities. Recent satellite imagery hints at expansions within this facility, a sign that Russia aims to bolster its production of strategic assets. Yet, this self-improvement may make it a sitting duck for Flamingo's wrath. The stakes rise with potential strikes at logistical hubs, from the Aviar factory producing Il-76 transport aircraft to the Voronezh Aircraft Production Association, crafting other vital military aviation components. Moreover, the engine facilities underpinning Russia's air force could crumble under the Flamingo's assault. Each potential hit sends ripples through the entire military infrastructure, raising questions about long-term air power sustainability. Can Russia withstand a relentless barrage aimed directly at its military backbone? Looking beyond mere military assets, Flamingo's range extends to critical energy supplies, crucial for funding ongoing operations. Approximately 87% of oil refining capacities across Russia lie within its reach. Remember past attacks on these energy facilities that left civilian gas stations dry? Now, imagine the economic ramifications of Flamingo strikes systematically crippling oil pumping stations and gas compressor units across the expansive landscape. With every heavy warhead dropped, the rhythm of Russian military operations stands at risk of disruption. The math on this is becoming clear. As the distance from the front lines increases, the Kremlin must defend a more extensive and increasingly vulnerable region. With each new defense layer, another area of Russian infrastructure becomes exposed. The intricate balance of defense and attack becomes a chess game where Ukraine gains the upper hand, constantly pressuring Russian defenses from within. As surveillance drones scout flaws, the Flamingo missile readies the knockout punch. Will the Kremlin be able to anticipate and counter this multi-layered assault, or is the writing on the wall for Russia's once mighty defenses? Kyiv has unveiled a game-changing weapon, introducing the Flamingo cruise missile to the battlefield. Applause resonates, yet the stakes couldn't be higher. This missile, boasting an astonishing range of 3,000 kilometers, threatens not only the front lines but will send shockwaves through the heart of Russia, Moscow, the Urals, and even western Siberia. A staggering 90% of Russia's military-industrial complex now lies within the Flamingo's crosshairs. But what does this really mean for the Kremlin's security doctrine? Can Putin's belief that distance guarantees safety withstand the Flamingo strike? With specifications that bewilder, this missile includes a warhead weighing 1,150 kilograms and a designated speed capable of launching it beyond enemy sight. The news spreads like wildfire, production ramps up, with whispers of one missile rolling off the lines daily and ambitions for 7 by October. Is Ukraine transforming the tide of war with its own hands? The clarity of domestic production gives military strategists grounds for newfound confidence. Is this not a recipe for a tactical revolution on the Ukrainian side? Hold tight, the radius of impact is enormous. The Flamingo is designed not only to hit targets but to dismantle the very essence of Russian supply chains. Critical facilities such as the Ukrainian complex, known for manufacturing T-90M tanks, and the Kieran-Mashavad plant, which produces infantry vehicles, are suddenly within reach. Can the Kremlin defend its heavy industry without exposing its vulnerabilities? The air is thick with tension as the Flamingo not only redefines logistical landscapes but threatens to sap resources vital for sustaining Russian forces. Political discussions around supply security fracture as the reality of military targets being ripe for assault looms large. How will Moscow respond to this emerging asymmetry? With the battlefield shifted, the echoes of alarms now signal a desperate need for defense deep within Russian territory. Stay tuned as we witness the evolution of strategy and technology in a conflict that's far from over. As Ukraine capitalizes on the Flamingo's capabilities, Russia faces an urgent dilemma: adapt, retreat, or prepare for unprecedented losses. The window is narrowing, and every second counts. Ukraine's new weapon, the Flamingo cruise missile, changes everything. It can strike deep into Russian territory, reaching critical infrastructure within 3,000 kilometers, from Moscow to the Ural Mountains. This missile targets an astonishing 90% of Russia's military-industrial complex. What does this mean for the Kremlin's strategy? As the launch pads are mounted on portable ramps, the flexibility of Flamingo is unprecedented. But here's the twist: previous drone strikes have already exposed severe vulnerabilities of key facilities. Imagine civilian gas stations running dry after targeted assaults on oil processing plants. Now, 90% of oil pumping stations and 85% of gas compressor stations are vulnerable. A concentrated attack could halt energy supplies essential for financing the war. Can you feel the tension in the air? The stakes have never been higher. Each new defensive layer leaves existing spots exposed. What's more, Russian air defenses appear formidable with their S-300 and S-400 systems, but are they functional across the vast distances of 3,000 kilometers? The Kremlin is forced to make tough choices about which areas to safeguard. With each decision, a new cluster of risk takes form. Ukraine is not just responding, it's evolving. As long-range drones exhaust Russian defenses, they create opportunities for Flamingo to strike at the heart of military capabilities. Can Moscow keep its eyes everywhere? As defenses are stretched thin, the attack options multiply. Will Ukraine's strategy of deception and timing turn the tide? Picture this: an infrastructure network that isn't just for energy but is critical for sustaining military operations. Where could Flamingo strike next? It's not just a missile, it's a harbinger of economic collapse in Russia. If infrastructure crumbles, chaos ensues. Will the Kremlin find a way to defend its vital assets, or is Ukraine's relentless pressure about to create irreversible consequences? This isn't just about making a hit, it's about changing the course of warfare. Every target hit reverberates through Russian logistics. As the stakes rise, one question lingers: how can you defend against an attack you can't predict? With time and pressure on their side, the Ukrainian forces are laying the groundwork for an unprecedented shift in the conflict. The game has changed. Are the Russians ready for what's coming next? The previous part highlighted how the Flamingo missile's penetrator head improves its ability to reach underground targets, effectively targeting Russia's oil and energy supply chains. The continual pressure on these systems disrupts the internal supply continuity. But what if every hit disrupts not just logistics, but morale? In the shadow of an advancing conflict, heavy warheads aren't just numbers, they are instruments that create chaos in a strategic rhythm. When a missile strikes, the cost isn't just calculated in currency but in psychological impact. Each delayed response from defenses sends ripples through command structures, revealing a vulnerability lurking beneath Russia's seemingly impenetrable layers. As defense resources are stretched thin, defenders face a chilling realization: critical targets remain exposed. Every time a missile from Ukraine soars through the sky, it raises a haunting question for Moscow: can we truly secure our front lines? The more enveloped they become in their defensive measures, the more secondary areas are left vulnerable. This is the chilling calculus that Flamingo exploits, maximizing its potential to bypass defenses at their weakest points. In a fascinating turn, Ukraine ingeniously employs domestically produced cruise missiles at a fraction of the cost of interceptor missiles. This shift in strategy enables them to exert control over the battlefield, posing a formidable challenge to Russian defenses. They transform economic resourcefulness into an art form, where every missile is not merely a projectile but a deep psychological blow that reshapes perceptions of security. Now, consider the chilling implications. Could an older arsenal actually become the backbone of Ukraine's fresh offensive? By repurposing Soviet-era FAB-1000 bombs, Ukraine smartly depletes its stockpiles without the complexity of developing new warheads. It's an elegant workaround that conserves precious resources amidst a brutal conflict, turning the very shadows of the past into weapons of the present. But will this ingenious adaptability change the trajectory of the war? As the production lines hum with activity, Ukraine's capability appears poised to outpace Russia's defensive efforts. With each passing day, the landscape of warfare shifts. The fronts grow bolder, and the choices multiply. In this evolving narrative, where will the next explosion strike, and how will it reshape the battlefield? The urgency mounts as both sides brace for the next wave of conflict. Kyiv has unveiled a weapon etched in the pages of history: the FP-5 Flamingo cruise missile. This potent armament, with a staggering range of 3,000 kilometers, marks a pivotal shift in the ongoing conflict. Not just a weapon, but a harbinger of new realities. Picture the very heart of Russia quaking in uncertainty, from Moscow to the Ural Mountains, under the threat of an arsenal now capable of targeting nearly 90% of its military-industrial backbone. As the sounds of applause faded, the message was clear: Ukraine has positioned itself not as a mere participant but as a formidable contender, striking within reach of Russian soil. Can the Kremlin's long-held belief in impenetrable distance withstand this fresh challenge? The flamingo does not merely alter the battleground, it disrupts the strategic balance, pulling Russia's defenses deep into its industrial heartland. But the impact doesn't stop at military infrastructure. Imagine the desolation echoing through the echo chambers of oil refineries and gas compressors, all caught in Flamingo's crosshairs. With an operational range that covers an astonishing 87% of Russia's oil refining capacity, this weapon reshapes economic realities. The same facilities that fuel the Kremlin's military ambitions now find themselves on the precipice of destruction. What happens when two worlds collide, the crumbling facade of utter security and the looming threat of annihilation? As Ukrainian drones buzz overhead, mapping vulnerabilities, the Flamingo missile prepares for its deadly dance. Picture the ordinary day at the Khan aviation plant, producing the backbone of Russia's nuclear deterrence. Recent satellite images reveal a facility expanding, brimming with activity. But what if this signal of strength becomes its very undoing? Could a single missile redefine the course of a war? As Russian factories produced Il-76 transport aircraft that sustain their logistics, each ignition of machinery now carries a weight of danger. The clock is ticking. How many more operations can continue under these imminent threats? When the fires of industry clash with the specter of war, one question remains: will the price paid in destruction outweigh the strategic gains? At an average production capacity of 1 Flamingo per day, will Ukraine's ambitions soar to a stunning 7 a day, raising the stakes and fears alike among its adversaries? The answer lies not in rhetoric but in the chilling silence that follows each launch. As tension simmers, one has to wonder how much longer Russia's defenses can hold against targeted strikes that threaten its very essence. The Flamingo's payloads, weighing significantly and engineered for maximum impact, aren't just threats on a map. They represent the possibility of a complete systematic shutdown of crucial supply lines. As fires ignite within the heart of Putin's war machine, the question shifts: can they adapt fast enough before these strikes reshape the landscape? Stay tuned. Ukraine's unveiling of the new FP5 Flamingo cruise missile has sent shockwaves through the military landscape, radically changing the stakes in the ongoing conflict. This is no ordinary missile. With a staggering range of 3,000 kilometers, it threatens not just the frontline troops, but reaches deep into Russia, targeting vital military-industrial zones from Moscow all the way to Siberia. Can the Kremlin's long-held belief in safety through distance still hold water? The Flamingo missile, boasting a top speed of 950 kilometers per hour, combines sophisticated inertial navigation with satellite correction, making it a formidable foe against electronic jamming. It's designed to fly low and evade radar detection, launched from portable ramps that can escape Russian countermeasures. As production ramps up, aiming for 7 units a day by October, Ukraine's capacity for long-range strikes dramatically escalates. Are Russian defenses sufficient to tackle such a profound threat? As we dive deeper, let's consider the significant implications for Russia's military infrastructure. With 90% of its military production and oil refining capacity within striking distance, the Flamingo turns Ukraine's deep strike capabilities into a haunting reality for Moscow. Images of refineries, missile plants, and railway networks flash through the mind, each one a potential target ripe for the taking. The Kremlin no longer has the luxury of resting easy in its industrial heartlands. But how will they counter this escalating threat? Now, imagine the chaos as the Flamingo disrupts essential supply chains for military components critical to Russia's war machine. While the effectiveness of air defenses may appear robust on paper, they lack the spatial distribution necessary to shield such vast distances. These vulnerabilities make every unprotected line a potential target. As Ukrainian forces exploit reconnaissance for effective strikes, how will the Kremlin cope with the newly identified pressure points? Facing this new reality, the question lingers: how will Russia protect its vital assets? The pressure mounts not just from the missile but also from the timing of attacks, as waves of drones overwhelm defenses before the Flamingo moves in for the kill. Every strike becomes a lesson in urgent adaptation and tactical precision. Can the Kremlin strategize effectively against this shifting tide? Flamingo isn't just a missile, it's a significant lever in the larger game of power. As it establishes a new rhythm for Ukraine, the Kremlin's ability to respond adequately seems increasingly complicated. With every calculated strike, the dynamics of warfare evolve, propelling Ukraine into a zone of operational freedom. The next question remains, how will this shift affect the tides of the ongoing conflict, and what can the Kremlin do to restore balance to its crumbling defenses? Your insights on this pressing situation are invaluable. With the recent announcement of the FP5 Flamingo cruise missile, Ukraine steps into a new phase of its military strategy. This isn't just another weapon, it's a game-changer capable of striking at the very heart of Russia. Imagine the sound of engines roaring as the missile, designed with a range of 3,000 kilometers, takes flight, targeting Moscow and beyond. But as the news breaks, a chilling question looms: could this shift the balance of power in the ongoing conflict? The Flamingo's capacity to threaten 90% of Russia's military-industrial complex sends shockwaves through the Kremlin. In the dimly lit war rooms of Moscow, strategists scramble. How do you defend against a weapon that can now reach beyond the front lines into the depths of your territory? This new era of warfare is defined by relentless precision. The Flamingo is equipped with advanced guidance systems, allowing it to evade radar detection while maintaining a speed of 950 km per hour. Picture it, this missile cruising just above the treetops, its approach masked by the terrain, making it nearly impossible to intercept. It's a strategy that leaves Russian defenses scrambling and keeps military planners awake at night. But, can the Kremlin truly adapt to this looming threat? Production insights suggest that one Flamingo missile rolls off the assembly line every day, with ambitions to boost that number significantly. As anticipation builds, can Ukraine sustain this production pace and keep the momentum going? While Ukrainian forces are confident, it's crucial to remember the stakes involved. Every strike needs precision, and the potential for collateral damage raises ethical concerns. Will new technologies lead to devastating losses for innocent civilians? As discussions swirl, will the global community stand silent, or will they find the courage to intervene in a conflict that threatens to spiral out of control? Every attempt to diversify targets amplifies the risks. As Ukraine builds this arsenal, questions of logistics and supply chains become extremely vital. Should production lines be struck, how will this affect Ukraine's operational capabilities? The clock ticks. Time is of the essence, and the pressure mounts as military planners navigate this treacherous landscape. The unfolding narrative reveals the complexity of modern warfare. While Ukraine strives for domestic production, Russian facilities remain vulnerable. The effectiveness of the Flamingo depends not just on precision and range but on the ability to strike when the enemy least expects it. Could this be the dawn of a new tactical age, where the line between victory and defeat becomes increasingly blurred? As the debate rages on, one thing is clear: the future of this conflict hangs in the balance, and the introduction of the Flamingo could redefine the very nature of warfare itself. Amid escalating tensions, Kyiv has unleashed a formidable new weapon, the FP5 Flamingo cruise missile. With a staggering range of 3,000 kilometers, this missile threatens not just the front lines but reaches deep into Russian territory, from Moscow to the Ural Mountains. It potentially targets 90% of Russia's military-industrial complexes, sending shockwaves through Moscow. But what happens when the Kremlin's perceived invulnerability crumbles? As the Flamingo takes flight, it rattles the foundations of Russian security doctrine. Cruising at nearly 900 km per hour, armed with a devastating 1,150-kilogram warhead, this missile can reach every corner of European Russia. Is this the beginning of a new era where Ukraine defines the battlefield on its terms? The implications are monumental. Faced with a weapon capable of striking at the heart of their industrial base, Russian leaders may be forced to reckon with vulnerabilities they previously dismissed. Key production facilities in the Ural Basin, including those churning out T-90M tanks and BMP-3 infantry vehicles, are now under direct threat. Are these critical assets about to be neutralized, tilting the scales in Ukraine's favor? It's not just the military that feels the heat. The Flamingo's range encompasses a staggering 87% of Russia's oil refining capacity. Picture the cascading effects this could have. A slowdown in oil production could cascade into crippling economic repercussions. What happens to Putin's war chest when the pipelines run dry? Kiev's strategy is meticulous. The use of reconnaissance to distract enemy defenses before targeting with missile strikes ensures a comprehensive approach to warfare. Each assault disrupts repair schedules and production timelines, creating a vicious cycle of chaos for the Russian military. Can Moscow withstand this relentless wave of strikes? But behind these offensive maneuvers, risks loom large. What if critical production lines are compromised? Could a breakdown in navigation guidance render the transformative Flamingo ineffective? The fate of this campaign hangs in a delicate balance. How adaptable is Russia when up against an innovative Ukrainian strategy? The stakes are unprecedented. Increased attacks mean tightening defenses, with a higher likelihood of breaching Russian airspace. As more missiles penetrate these defenses, larger targets become feasible. The question is not just about survival but about dominance. How will the Kremlin respond when the balance shifts irreversibly? As this dynamic unfolds, one thing becomes clear: the Flamingo doesn't just alter the course of military engagements, it redefines the geopolitical landscape. Will the Kremlin manage to recalibrate its strategies, or has Kiev marked a turning point in this conflict? The answer to that question could reshape global politics for years to come. As the drama unfolds, stay vigilant, the tide of war is shifting. What's your take on this rapid evolution?